So, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting to a part of the process that is rather exciting, but very scary in a lot of ways, because what we are doing here is we are determining our pricing. And I think the reason that this is so scary because there is no clear-cut answer. I mean, I'll always be honest with you guys, there are certain parts of the agency where it's just, after 5 years in this game, I'm telling you, just do it this way, right? It's the best way, and it is sort of the one-size-fits-all solution. When it comes to pricing, there is nothing like that. Really, all we can do here is blend together reference experiences, blend together the tools that I'm going to give you. In fact, I'm giving you 4 tools over the space of this module and the next module just to help you with your pricing. And you take all that, reiterate, and over the years, you're going to change your pricing model, depending on where you are with your agency, how comfortable you are, what your priorities and goals are. So that is all stuff that we will elaborate, because you got to put on your critical thinking cap for this one, because there is some nuance. And as I said, there is no correct answer. Only you will know. And I guess that's the last sort of thing that I want to mention is when it comes to pricing, I've learned over the year, your gut instinct does tell you a lot. So listen to it, put on your critical thinking cap, and let's get into today's module. In today's module, we're going to be talking about pricing your services for local businesses. Now, in today's teaching, we're going to talk about how to use intuitive pricing, how to calculate the customer LTV, how to price convenience offers, how to calculate ROI offers, real life examples with local clients, using different pricing models, and finally, finding comps and refining your pricing. So let me quickly talk to you about intuitive pricing. As I said, I'm going to give you the best guidance you have ever received when it comes to pricing over the space of the last 5 years. You know, both me having a content creation agency, then having an advertising agency, but for local businesses. And then over the past three and a half years, having an advertising agency exclusively for e-commerce and info product business. So I'm really here to bestow upon you everything I know, but in the same way, you know, athletes, they have coaches, and coaches can give a new perspective and really kind of help piece things together. But at the end of the day, it always comes down to athlete, and it always comes down to the athlete knows themselves. And you know, at the end of the day, an athlete needs to have strong intuition, and an athlete will know how far to push themselves. In the same way, I can give you all the models, you know, under the sun when it comes to pricing, but if you make that offer and you are not confident in it, it will show. So you want to make an offer that makes you slightly uneasy, just a little bit more than you think you should charge, but that doesn't break your spirit. So I will show you all of the models that I've used over the years. And as I said, ladies and gentlemen, if there was a formula that I literally went through, well, I guess in the next module, there's guiding pillars, and I'll show you. In fact, I even built a full software for, you know, to help you with that. And as I said, there's 2 softwares as well today that you can use, 2 tools. So even though I have all those tools, for me, at the end of the day, what it comes down to is something that I call intuitive pricing. And let's go ahead and touch on that real quick. You know, in the same way, let's look at the fitness industry. You know, if you're first getting started with fitness, you know, you might track your macros, you might track your calories, weigh out everything, this, and just be very like diligent and almost overthink things, but it's good at that stage of the process. And then you get to a point where you just intuitively eat. And that's, you know, you're really dialed in at that point. You know, that's really the paradigm above. That's where you are very in tune with your body's signals. You're very in tune with the way that your body reacts to a certain amount of food, how much of food it needs, what it agrees with, what it doesn't agree with. In the same way with intuitive pricing, I can give you models, and I will give you models here today. But over the months and years, you're gonna just develop this intuitive pricing where you just take a couple different factors in, you know, because here's the thing, right? As I said, I can give you a model, but I can't plug into a calculator or something like that. Do you get along with the client, right? Because you could be having you could have incredible results. You know, it could be a perfect match from a results perspective, but maybe you guys just don't really jive together on the call. And that's not something that you can really account for with a calculator. As I said, we're in the service-based industry, okay? Human touch. You know, sometimes or I guess for me over the last few years, up until probably, you know, the last year and a half, 12 to 18 months, I forgot that sometimes. I'm like, oh, this is just like a robotic business. No, we're dealing with humans. We're dealing with clients, okay? So it's things that you can't account for, which is why I always come back to this intuitive pricing. So ladies and gentlemen, this is available for download right below this video. Intuitive pricing is the fusion of models, gut instinct, and market comps. By the way, market comp is a comparable. So ladies and gents, the first thing we need to do is we need to start off by calculating local biz lifetime value. So ladies and gentlemen, what we need to do is we need to find the lifetime value of a customer for a local business. Now, you might be wondering why we use LTV as the basis for our results rather than day one cash collected. Well, here's why. That's like expecting to buy a property, an investment property, and from day one, it is ROI positive. That's not the case at all. Obviously, you want your day one cash collected. And we're going to get into this in just a second. Obviously, you want the day one cash collected to preferably be more than you're spending to acquire that customer, or at least be kind of at a break even, because then you can sustainably run the ads. And I said, we'll get into that in just a second. But returning customers are the lifeblood of any local business. They'll tell you that themselves. So if on day one, they could only make a little bit of money or even just break even, but what that does is that gives them a customer that could return for the next year, 5 years, 10 years. Any business owner will take that if you can show them the understanding, and if you can show them the KPIs, and if you can show them the process in order to make that happen. Now, as I said, you don't want to be burning, this isn't some startup. You don't want to be burning through cash. You don't want to have it where the day one cash collected, and I'll show you how to calculate, the day one cash collected, and I'll show you some examples right here. The day one cash collected compared to the lifetime value. And bear in mind, this tool is available in the tools section of the platform. So go use it at your own accord. You don't want the day one to be like, let's say the day one cash collected is $150 and your CPA, cost to acquire an actual customer, not a lead, is $300. Obviously, you're going to be burning through too much cash where it's not responsible for them to advertise, right? Because you're going to be losing money, even if the lifetime value is $1,500, right? So you're actually making a 5x on LTV, but you're actually losing money on day one, right? That's not very sustainable. But if you can have a situation where the day one cash collected is actually a lot more than you're spending to acquire an actual customer, I'm not talking lead, an actual customer, then of course, like, you're literally just printing money on day one and the LTV. But even if you can do it at a break even or just a slight little profit, then that's an immense superpower right there. So ladies and gentlemen, in this example right here, you have decent legroom to spend $255 to acquire a customer for this dentist, especially because in the long haul, it is immensely profitable. So this is a dental client right here. So you can see on day one, right, what you're going to do is you're going to put the average purchase value. Now, I actually set this at 300, but there's like, when you go to the dentist, you can easily spend 5-10 grand, right? So you're going to get this information directly from them. This is very important. In the meeting, you're going to get this information from them, and you are going to plug it into this calculator. So that way you are actually working with real numbers. So hypothetically, we've got average purchase value as $300. I said, realistically for a dentist, it's actually going to be way more than that, but roll with it. We've got cost of goods / services sold. So this is really important. This is not their net margins, right? Because if you bring them in an extra 10 customers that month, they don't have to pay any extra for their Wi-Fi, for their lights. Realistically, they're not going to have to hire any more employees. They're just going to get more busy, but that's good. Local businesses like that. So you need to explain that to them that, hey, what is the actual cost to deliver this, right? So let's say, for example, with a dental client, let's say, for $300, you're coming in and you're doing like a teeth cleaning, right? Like a hygiene clean check, whatever. I forget what they're called, but those usually take like an hour. I do one every like 6 months or so. And those things aren't super complicated. So they might have like one of the more junior dentists in their practice. So let's say that's an hour, and let's say there's two dentists that have to be there, $300, between the two, they might have to pay them $25 an hour, $20 an hour, right? So you can go ahead and you can figure out these numbers. So with that being said, the only cost to deliver, like let's say I go in for a hygiene check, right? I said it's an hour. We just two sort of junior dentists there, and they both get paid $20 an hour. It's $300, or I guess I'm aware that I go to a very, very expensive dentist. Funny enough, actually, it's one of my old clients, a company called Knightsbridge Dental Care. Marie, who's the owner, she was one of my clients in 2017, basically a year from 2017 to 2018. So yeah, they treat me very well. But nonetheless, as well as they treat me with certain discounts and throwing in free stuff here and there, I still pay like everyone else. And that might cost Marie $40, right? And if I'm paying $300, then the actual cost to deliver the service, the percentage margin of that is something like 12% or something along those lines. But as you can see right here, I used 15%. Now this is really important. Enter customer behavior. Returns per year, leave it at 1. Customer term and terms, leave it 1. So this basically just means, this right side, this means that we are actually finding the day one cash collected. How much are we collecting day one? After someone's come in, taken up one of these free offers and actually become a customer, what are we collecting at that point? Then on the left side, we've got LTV. So let's say, once again, same thing, average purchase price, $300. In fact, day one, someone may not spend that much, but lifetime value, this is actually where you can go ahead and crank this up. Cost of goods slash services sold. Once again, maybe it's a little higher because over the years, this person does some more intense stuff. So the margins are lower. So maybe you said 25%, but I just left everything the same here. And then you can see right here, returns per year, 2. And I said, for me, my dentist, I go to them twice a year. And then customer term in years. And we have 5 here. And you can see at the bottom, we've got a number of referrals. This is another little thing that you can add, especially if it's one of those businesses that gets a lot of sort of referral foot traffic. This is another sort of KPI that you can add that, when they bring in a referral, then that chain kind of, they've literally you've almost doubled their revenue. You've actually doubled their lifetime value. So for here, I put 0, but when you actually put a 1 or 2, then that really gives you even more room to operate, just as long as the day one cash collected makes sense. So you can see right here on the left, they have a lifetime value of $2,550 and then a day one cash collected value of $255. Now, here is the same thing with a chiropractor. Now, with a chiropractor, you have less room on day one cash collected, so you're going to have to be a wizard with your lead gen. That said, people come back to their chiropractor so often that, the LTV of a customer really is very strong. So you can see right here, on day one cash collected, let's say you're paying $80 for an adjustment. The cost of goods, a lot of times chiropractors just kind of, they have their own practice. They work for themselves. Once again, you're going to leave returns per year as 1, customer term in years as 1. And then on the left side here, we've got average purchase value, $80. Once again, cost of goods slash services sold, 0. And then we have returns per year, 24. A lot of people go to their chiropractors twice a month. That's sort of very, very normal. And then, let's say customer term in years, 2 years. So you can, you don't need to read into these numbers too much. Hopefully now you're just starting to see from like a business owner's perspective, like the difference between day one cash collected, lifetime value, and how we can kind of play around with these metrics. But the most important thing is you're actually going to ask the client. The client is going to give you these numbers. You're not just going to pull them out of your ass. Now, there's 2 things I really want to make clear before we move on. And the first one is, I think I didn't make this, I didn't think I made a strong enough case in this in phase 1. I adore local business, right? And I've seen, especially in copy-paste agency, we have so many people killing it with local biz agencies because there's very little discrepancy between, a one real estate agent to another real estate agent, or, a one CrossFit gym to another CrossFit gym. So it's a very sort of scalable business model. And, you can bring in a sales guy, and appointment setters work incredibly well, etc. Ads work way better for local biz agencies than they do for e-commerce info product agency owners. But the big thing that I want to say to you is go for high ticket local biz clients, right? Or the ones that you could make high ticket. So, I did mention it in terms of phase 1 as an option and a very common one, but things like restaurants, I would personally stay away from. Your standard gym, I would stay away from, unless it's like a high-end CrossFit gym where there's something special about it, or it's like a Pilates studio or something. Some great high ticket examples are, for example, the solar niche, dentists, insurance brokers, chiropractors. But as I said, with those, usually it's less a day one cash collected. And that kind of brings me on to my second point, which is you want to make sure that the day one cash collected is at least at a break even of what you're spending to acquire that customer, or preferably at a little bit of a profit. And if it's an excess in profit, then that's even better. So if you've got an example like a chiropractor, then what you need to do is you really need to sit down with them and go like, hey, we're going to have to figure out after that first session, how can we give them some sort of really good discounted bulk package, or how can we collect more revenue on that day one encounter? So, just staying on that chiropractor track, it makes sense for chiropractors to sell bulk 24 sessions, right? Because it's something where people will need to come back a lot. Or for example, even if you're working with like women's beauty salons, with beauty salons, always look at if there's an option to upsell or to pair 2 things together. This is really where you need your mind state at. And this is really something where you need to help and work with your clients in order to make sure that it is sustainable to advertise long-term together. So ladies and gents, let's talk about returns for convenience offers. Now, I've said to you before, it is very hard to kind of give a discernible ROI for convenience offers. So for example, social media marketing or social media management, et cetera, stuff that doesn't have a strong, hey, we got you X amount of leads. But the thing is, once you've used that LTV tracker and you know what a customer is worth to them over the space of the next 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, 10, whatever numbers they give to you, there's a very powerful, deadly tool in your arsenal. So for example, let's say you're working with a nice high-end boutique gym, and their lifetime value is $2,200. Now, if you are managing all their social media and you're helping them grow by 1,000 followers a month, and that's not like, and you're honest with yourself that it's actually kind of in the city, in the area, et cetera, Well, ask the business owner, hey, out of 1,000 new followers per month, do you think you're getting anywhere from 4 to 5 new customers? And ask them. Maybe they genuinely believe no, like I don't think we are. And once again, if that happens, then go ahead and explain your process again, because it's not just about doing their social media management and making their content giveaways or running challenges, but not via ads, via the social media audience that you are now building. So let's say they're like, yeah, 100%. I can see how out of 1,000 new followers in our city, and all this great content, we're getting 4 to 5 new signups per month. Well, in that case, you're bringing in anywhere from 9 to 11K in new business for them. Plus all the other incredible benefits that they're getting in terms of their brand recognition, et cetera, et cetera. Let's use another example. Let's say you're charging 3K a pop for a website. Well, in that case, you say the same thing. You go, hey, over the space of the next 3 years, let's say you get 30,000 website visitors. Well, out of 30,000 website visitors, do you think that what we've done now in terms of optimizing the page speed, in terms of actually making your website look appealing, and having a strong call to action where someone comes in and they don't need to type in a phone number, they can take whatever action you think is most likely to lead them to become a customer, whether that's booking in a free consultation or a free tour, or whatever it may be, whatever local business it is. Do you think out of all of that, we'll be able to get you 2 new customers? Out of 30,000 website visitors, having this improved ecosystem, do you think you'll probably be able to bring in another 2 customers because of it? And if they say yes, then there we go. The website has paid for itself and some. The biggest asset you have when showing the ROI of a convenience offer is figuring out what that LTV is and anchoring that to your service. So ladies and gentlemen, now let's talk about returns for ROI offers. So here is the process. First things first is you need to actually figure out the offer. And what I mean by that is, if it's dentists, are people coming in for free teeth cleaning? If it's a gym, are people coming in for a 15-day 3 for free, 3 sessions for free, or 3 weeks for free? Like, what is the actual offer that's bringing people in? So you figure that out together. And obviously once you go through all of that niche research and everything, you should be able to give them suggestions, and you should know in general in the industry, this is what works well and this is what doesn't. So you're going to figure out the offer. Then you're going to get the client to tell you, and let's say I bring in 100 people for this offer. What percentage of those do you think you'll be able to convert to an actual customer? As in, they'll then become a customer of your business and buy something. Then you decide on a show up rate together. And once again, at first, this is stuff where, point number 2, well, actually point number 1, 2, and 3, once you've done this enough times, you can just go, hey, this is what's happened with our other clients. On average, we found, and we were able to track that out of these people who came in for the offer, this percentage actually then became customers. And then in terms of show up rate, that's a very easy one to figure out. You just go, hey, these amount of people claimed it, and then these amount of people actually showed up for the offer. Next is figure out a CPL for this offer. Once again, once you've been running your agency for a while, you will have historical data, so you'll know that. But at the beginning, you can do that by looking at sort of previous experience, ask people in the community, industry comps, as I said, ask people in the community as a last resort, or just go off of gut feeling and what you've seen from different case studies of other agencies working within your niche. Last thing is using the CPL, go through the local business ROI calculator, which I'm going to show you right now. So ladies and gents, right here, I have given you an example. We'll stick with that dentist. So you can see day 1 cash collected is 255. And by the way, you use the other calculator, this one, the lifetime value calculator, and you'll plug in your details all here, and it will give you the gross. By the way, this is the after the cost of goods / services sold is taken into consideration. So this is really kind of what they almost, I wouldn't say net, but pretty much gross sort of margins. So you can see right here, $255 is day 1 cash collected. Then we have customer LTV is $2,550. Let's say the cost per lead. Let's say you're getting leads for free teeth cleaning for $10. The show up rate is 50%. So 50% of those people actually take that action, and the show up to customers. So 1 out of every 10 people who shows up and claims the offer actually becomes a customer. Well, the cost per show up is $20. The cost per acquisitions for someone to actually become a customer for this dental clinic is $200. So day 1 ROI is 127%. And then the lifetime ROI is 1,275%. So basically lifetime ROI is a 10x. So you can see why this model works. We just spend $200 to bring back in a lifetime value, even after taking into consideration their gross margins and sort of the cost to actually deliver the thing that we're selling, of $2,550. So basically it's over a 10x, right? I think it's a 12x. But the beauty of it is we can show that, hey, on day one, you're still gonna, break even. You're not losing money by advertising, but then you've got customers for the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever number it is that they give you. As I said, it's very important that you get that day one cash collected at like break even. Obviously, the more above break even, the better it is, but as close to break even as possible, because then the rest of the money that they collect from that customer is just pure profit. So ladies and gents, let's talk about pricing your services. So how do we actually price our services? I'll get Tristan just to write out here. I'll just get him to do a little iPad drawing or something. It's very simple. All you do is take that lifetime value of a customer that we got in that first calculator, and then you subtract the CPA, which we got in that second calculator or the second tool that I built out for you. So in this case, it would be $2,550 is the lifetime value minus $200 is the CPA. So what that equals is $2,350 in ad profit. So that is pretty much the ad profit on one customer. From here on out, it's pretty much up to you. Now, I would recommend that whatever your service fee, you bring in at least 3 times that amount in LTV business. So please bear that in mind. The higher your fee, okay, the more business you're gonna have to bring them in order for it to be worth it. So let's say that with this dental client, we decide on a fee of $2,000 a month. That's our service fee. Well, then I wanna bring them in a gross LTV that has a value of at least 3 times that. So I'll show you what I mean. So as I said, with this client, they have a gross LTV of $2,550. The expected CPA is $200. The gross ROI per customer after ad costs is $2,350. Our fee is $2,000. So amount of customer needed in order for me to feel comfortable with this is 3. Okay. So that would be 3 customers. So each customer has a gross ROI after ad cost, as well as, margins to actually deliver the service of $2,350. So the ROI per month for them would be $5,000. But once again, you're going to have to make it very clear to them that, hey, probably in terms of cash flow, you're going to be breaking even, but it's going to be, as any smart business owner, the real money is the fact that you're getting customers in for pretty much break even or even at an actual profit, which is even better. And over the space of the next 6, 12, 36 months, it's just going to be free money continuing to come in because you've already paid for them. Now, remember, we're not actually selling them customers because we can't close the customers for them, okay? So we're not selling based off of how many customers we bring them because, we're not the ones physically there to close and upsell them, okay? We just give them that range of expected customers in order to understand how many leads per month you need to bring, okay? So in this case, if you go back to our calculator, and we had the clients themselves tell us, okay, what's the show up rate? So if we get 60 leads, we need 3 customers, okay? So we know that we need 3 customers and we can work backwards. If we need 3 customers, we know that only 10% of people that show up will become customers. So if we need 3 customers, then we need 30 show ups. Now, in order to get 30 people to show up, we know that there's a 50% show up rate. So for that, that means that we need 60 leads. So 60 leads will turn into 30 show ups, and then 30 show ups will turn into 3 customers. So ladies and gentlemen, as I said, these are some tools that kind of get you thinking about the reasoning behind, why we price the way that we do. But the other, big thing is anchor it to how much are they currently making and how much do they want to be making. Because here's the thing. If they're at $250K a month and it's a local business and they want to get to $500K a month, that's a very different story. And you can charge a lot more, even if all of the numbers still work out the same than as compared to someone who's at 50K and wants to get to 80K. And another really important thing to do, and we'll get into this in phase 5, it's a very high level question they're probably not expected to be asking, is what additional capacity do they have? I remember there was this one gym client that I was, Esteban, who some of you guys may know. In 2017, he was my appointment setter. And then over the space of the last few years, he's always helped out kind of coaching in the Gradient C community. But Esteban, he used to be my appointment setter. So I remember there was, was cold calling every single day. And there was one appointment that I showed up to. And it was quite it was kind of sort of towards the outskirts in London. I think it was in a place called Canary Wharf, if I remember correctly. But anyways, I remember I got there and it was a relatively small gym. So I asked the business owner, I'm like, hey, how close are you to capacity? And he's like, yeah, we're pretty much at 95% capacity. And I was like, and he was super keen to move forward, by the way. And I was like, well, to be honest, then this isn't going to be a worthwhile investment for you, right? Because here's the thing, if you're working with even a chiropractor who's already at 85% capacity, maybe it's not really worth, maybe they don't need the extra business, right? So that's another really important thing to ask. And it's a very high level question that they'll appreciate. So ladies and gents, revisiting the pricing models. So I think it's important to now revisit the pricing models because now that you have these tools that I built for you and you have a little bit of an understanding and a scope for day one cash collected and LTV, now we can take a look at these pricing models and look at it in a different light. So I'm only going to show you 2 of the 4 pricing models because I only believe that 2 are applicable to local businesses. And I'm sure you can probably take a guess which ones those are. So the first one is the base model. I think for pretty much most agency owners, this is the best one to go with. Or as you start to get more advanced with your journey, then bold offer pricing. This is also where you can really ratchet things up with ads as well. So ladies and gents, last thing is reiterating your pricing. When it comes to dialing in your pricing, as I said, you will move from using sort of these mental models and still keep these mental models, right? Well, I say mental models and physical models. I mean, I built these tools for you as well. And, you'll get to a point where, 18 months into your journey, you have enough reference experiences, especially with local businesses. Most of the time your pricing stays relatively, there's not much discrepancy between clients. Whereas with e-commerce and InfoProc, there's, you could be charging one client literally 4 times as much as the other because the size of their business and complexity and this and that, or performance deals, like a whole host of weird things. So with that being said, use these models and then over the months and years, move towards a more intuitive based pricing model. So ladies and gents, the action step for today is I want you to write down 3 scenarios with mock numbers, go through the process in this module and then plug it into the calculator too. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope this gives you a bit of clarity when it comes to pricing. Make sure you use these tools. Make sure you understand day one cash collected versus LTV. And obviously this is all stuff I go in insane detail in phase 6, service delivery. And service delivery is actually broken down to 4 different like mini sections because I think it's 49 service delivery modules I've done. It's insane. But anyways, the reason I say that is because you want to understand the function of the offer, the show up rate, as well as the show up to actual customer percentage. And when you understand this, this honestly just puts you at such a big advantage compared to every other agency out there. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Catch you in the next one.